Hello again and welcome to AMZ TV. And this is your girl Ameze back on your screen today. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start from because I have a living legend that is hanging out with me today. A lot of you are probably trying to make out the face because I know right now she is on my screen. And when I say living legend, oh my goodness, if you remember, if you're old enough to remember Kokra Dunn, and then there's Behind the Clouds. There have been other shows in between that. The Brave One here in the United States. And recently, she graced our screen, her regalness, graced our Nollywood screen in 0 Hour. And I'm speaking about my auntie, she's a queen in every way that word, whatever it encompasses. I'm talking about Miss Ene Oloja. Welcome, ma'am. It's an honor to have you here with me.
Hi, Ameze. How are you? Hi, everyone.
I am short for words, so please pardon me if I'm stuttering because I'm in the presence of royalty.
No, you're not stuttering.
Oh my goodness. I want to tell you something.
Okay.
You inspired me to go into acting. You're one of the people that inspired me to go into acting.
Oh, I'm so happy you did.
Oh.
I'm happy you did.
Thank you. Thank you. You inspired me. And I remember, I'm old enough to remember Kokra Dunn. I enjoyed it. It was it played a very pivotal role in my family because what I remember, both my parents are gone now, but I do remember my mom was so in love.
Mine too.
Oh my
Yes.
God. And it was a time for us to come together, my parents, my mom, my dad, and the kids around, just sitting around them. I mean, it's very nostalgic. I don't want to start crying because, oh my God.
Oh.
But thank you so much. God bless you. You bless so many homes.
God bless you too. That was a big privilege that God was able to use our lives to touch other lives. So the privilege is all mine.
Oh
and I speak for all those who were involved in the show as well. We didn't even realize that we were touching so many lives, but as time went on and people started to share testimonies of families coming together, I mean, for me, that's the biggest achievement in my life in terms of the privilege the nation gave me.
Yes.
To be able to touch lives. And I think that is the most important thing in all our lives, to be able to touch other lives positively. So thank you all.
Oh
I'm so happy. Yes.
You're a legend. You're a living legend. You're larger than life.
Thank you.
What can I say? I remember Zemaye. And the one thing I do remember then was you played a role that was many years older than you. I remember you talking.
Oh yes, I was 22 when I started.
I remember. I was
playing the role of something or 60-something-year-old woman.
Yeah.
I had to pad myself. They had to put on a lot of the makeup mistress actually hated my face so much because even now you can't bring out a wrinkle.
No.
And so she hated my face because she could never make me up to look old. So they piled up a lot of makeup on my face. I padded myself, I padded my breasts, to look big because I was so thin, I was so tiny. Peter didn't like me at all, our director. He didn't like my face at all, but then he liked my acting.
Right.
So he kept me in the show. He put me in the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I can tell you right now, some people are still hating on you because there's no wrinkle in place, Auntie. I was telling you, I'm like, what is going on? How come we're not
old now?
That's you saying.
I'm 63. Look at me. I'm very old now.
But you don't look that age, though.
Yes, I do. You're just being kind.
Oh my God! It is such a blessing.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. So, very quickly, how did you get into acting? I know it was very challenging for you, but just so we hear, a brief background, how you got into it and the challenges you faced.
I started acting from the age of 5, in our church, in the village, Christmas plays, acting the little angel. So I kind of liked it. I just liked acting. And it was such a contradiction to my grades in school, both primary and secondary school, because I was so good in the sciences. I came first in
Oh,
every, not to boast, but those were the realities. I came first in every subject.
yeah.
So for me to have chosen acting at that time, it was anathema. I was a criminal.
Unheard of.
I was an absolute, even my younger sisters and brothers were warned from me by my family. I was a disgrace to the family.
Oh
How
my
could I go and be
God.
jumping stage and showing my leg to people when, it was just,
Yeah.
my story is not different from many of us who went into
Yeah.
acting.
Right.
So in my time, in my days, they looked at acting mainly as something that people who were failures in life went into. So to have somebody like me go into acting from the kind of background and family I came from was such a huge crime. And I suffered a lot for it. I ate a lot of raw mangoes because my dad cut me off of, allowances and all kinds of things, cut off even my salary. So I
Oh
was doing
my
literally two
God.
plays with Sonny Oti, with this and that, and trying to a lot. When we eventually went from Jos to UI. I lived in Idia Hall, and I would trek all the way from Idia Hall all the way to the theater, going the longest route so I could go and pluck mangoes to eat because I was
Oh,
hungry.
oh my
So it
God.
wasn't easy for me to choose my career path at all. And only until Cockroach at Dawn came and Sonioti suggested me, and I got into it, and eventually it was successful, and people began to recognize the name and recognize the name Oloja, that my father forgave me for the first time.
Oh my goodness.
So it was not an easy choice for me, but it was something I was passionate about. I really
Yeah.
loved acting.
Oh my God. That is an
Yes.
inspiring story. You did not
And
give up.
I think for a very long time, after I did my first degree, and then later on, after 10 years, did my master's degree, I probably was the only one with a master's, doing, as a woman acting in Nigeria.
Right, right.
So the way people looked at acting in those days was for failures, not
Yes,
for brilliant people, not for people who were serious-minded. And so
right.
very glad to see that today, some of the things we did, the foundations we laid, we're seeing the fruit today in
Yeah,
Nollywood, being
yeah.
the third in the entire world. Some people say the second even.
I know they keep flipping it, second, third, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
I know.
It's still, I mean, that Nollywood is even regarded up there is something, you
Yes,
know,
exactly.
it is something.
And
Oh my
and
goodness.
I mean, the younger ones have really come up and
Mhm,
are doing very well. I mean, there's still so much more to be done, but
mhm,
the younger ones have tried. They're trying.
mhm.
They
So that was
really.
going to bring me to the next question. Like, if you're to compare, because you've been there way before Nollywood, before that word was even coined,
Yeah.
and then you still revisited and acted in a Nollywood movie. So I just wanted you to compare, contrast, and compare what you see that you like, what you don't like, what advancements have been made.
Uh, I must confess, unfortunately, that for a very long period, I wasn't very much into Nollywood. I wasn't watching many of the shows, mainly because of the content, the kind of content that was being put out there. My aunt and my uncle were very, very much into Nollywood, like many people in the US here. So I would pass and see some of the shows and see what people were doing. But I was kind of there was always so much about juju and that and all the negativity in our society, which
Yeah.
is okay from time to time. But we as artists have to understand that we actually can and do shape societal perceptions and realities.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just like you shared just now that Cockroach Dawn brought your family together,
Yes.
not just your families, there's a story that touched me since then until tomorrow, till forever, until I die. I was at the airport in Lagos. I was traveling from Lagos back to Jos, and I was sitting at the first class lounge, and this guy, very well dressed in his 60s, I think, gentleman came towards me. I mean, people approach me all the time, so I'm looking at him, and then he knelt down in front of me. Oh, I could have collapsed. You know, I was shaking. I'm like, you know what our culture is
like
like.
elderly
And
person,
for an elderly person to kneel, that was like 22, 23 still at the time, you know. So I was so shaken. But he told me that for about 10 years, he and his wife had not spoken at all. They lived in the same house. They were just waiting for their youngest to finish university. And they would pack up their relationship because there was no communication, no nothing. Until Cockroach Dawn came. And then they started watching, he will pass and see what the children are watching there and the wife. And eventually he would watch. As time went on, they were able to, talk about one or two things in Cockroach Dawn. And as time went on, to cut a very long story short, their communication was re-established between husband and wife. And the family kind of rediscovered itself. And it saved their marriage. So that's why he knelt down to me. This story touched my life. I didn't even know that we were doing anything serious, in Cockroach Dawn. But stories like that made whatever efforts we put in, almost losing my life several times on set, all kinds of things we went through. It made all that worth it. So what I want to say to us and to Nollywood and to those that are at the forefront today is that we have to really be careful what content we put out there. Because the content will either encourage or discourage people. Whether it's negative or positive, it's going to affect lives. If we're talking so much about juju and people killing these people, and you were giving the younger ones ideas. And we are helping to perpetrate, crime in the community because people look at it and say, oh, this is how they do it. That's why I'm not saying that we shouldn't bring out, the negative things in our society and in our nation and everything, but the negative things we shouldn't do. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we have to be very careful what we put out there because it affects people's lives.
Yes, it does.
Just like Cockroach Dawn affected people's lives, on a positive level.
Yes.
So also whatever we put out there is going to affect people's lives positively or negatively.
That is so true.
And for me, watching all those things kind of spoil my psyche, so I don't want to watch them. I don't want to know about all those sort of things. I really don't want, because we're drumming on it too much. I know it's drama. It's too much. It's dramatic and so on. There are so many. There is no part of the world that we don't have crime or we don't have negative things happening.
Yeah.
But when we focus on those things, too much on it, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh wow!
Then we start to perpetrate it within our land, because our younger ones are watching and looking at it, and they are learning through TV.
Okay, so having said that, okay.
Yes, I really feel that we have to really watch the content.
The content that Nollywood is spewing out, because inadvertently it's going to, and you're right, because cinematic content, movies and what have you, has a way of shaping opinions.
Yes, it does.
Influencing,
it shapes opinions, it shapes lives, it shapes ideas.
That is so true.
So what are the ideas we are putting into our younger ones?
Yeah.
What are we feeding them with?
Yeah.
Because what we feed them with is what is going to come out.
It becomes
becomes reality.
It becomes reality.
Are we surprised that there's so much crime, much more than in my time in our society today?
That is just
kidnappings, all the killings, Southern Kaduna, issues, North Borno.
We're going to get to that, because that's something I do want to get your opinion on. But before we do that, now you transitioned from Nigeria to the United States. And everyone, you know how people are like, oh yeah, Hollywood, please, could you just truthfully tell people, when you transition from, you're an import from a different country, you're coming to United States, you're not just walking into Hollywood. Can you please just throw some light on that? Because that's what everyone expects.
Almost, I must tell you that when I came to the United States, I didn't come to stay. I came for a vacation to be able to get away for a while from my own personal issues and have a little bit of peace of mind and let things cool down, in terms before going back. But then I found that I had to stay.
Yeah.
When you come into this nation, of course you want to you want to restart your own career.
Yes.
I had at one point about 6 different agents. James L. Jones, the great James L. Jones.
Yeah, James L. Jones, yes.
Exactly. His dad actually took me by, right here in New York City, took me by the hand and introduced me to his agent. When we went into that office, what she said to me is that, when they need your type, I'll get in touch with you. I walked out of that office thinking, what's my type? I had no idea what my type was. So
that's what they said to me at the talent agency.
Yes. So
9 that we paid for.
Yes. Okay. So when that was said to me, I was wondering, what's my type? I came to realize that in Hollywood, they don't just cast you because you're a good actress or something like that. They have to ask for a specific role, like an African or a Nigerian or that sort of thing. That has to be in the script and as part and parcel of the storyline before you can even go for an audition. When I came here, if there was a part for a doctor or a nurse or an actress or whatever, I wouldn't go for a singer because I don't have a good voice singing. I couldn't go and audition for it because I was African, I was Nigerian.
Yes.
So the part had to specifically either ask for an African or a Nigerian or a Black person. And even if you're a Black person, are you a Black person from Africa or are you a Black person from here? So depending on what kind of accent they want.
Yes.
So there were so many things against me. I did all kinds of things just to be able to. I did productions, stage productions. A group of us got together and wrote a nice play. But all that, yes, all that was.
I remember that stage play. I was actually going to ask you. That's the Echoes of Diaspora.
Yes, Echoes from the Diaspora. So we did all of that in order for me to keep in my profession, but then it wasn't working out. The brave one came. The brave one asked for a specific role of an African neighbor, and all of that. So I was able to audition for it and eventually get it.
Role. When we saw you, I was like, yeah, represented.
It wasn't for lack
I
of
know you didn't
trying.
see us, but we're all like, yeah, represented.
Because my people were happy to see me back on screen, no matter how small. Of course, I didn't have the let's say the leeway or to be able to really build that particular role as I would have loved, because yes, she's African. Apart from maybe the accent, how else do you know that she's African? Her costuming was all wrong as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Her costuming did not reflect she was African and all of that. And
but that's how they see African. That's that's
right. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. So for me, it was a nice little role, playing along one of favorite actresses, Jodie Foster. But there was no reflection of where the character came from in terms of even costuming.
Yeah.
So apart from the accent, how else would you know? Or if people didn't know who I was, like Nigerians, there's no way you can know that this is not. Well, a few people from the accent, you say, oh, it's nice to see an African cast in an African role rather than, somebody else trying to be African.
And you see that a lot, people trying to mimic the accent.
African accent. And those of us who are African know the big difference. It sounds so false and so fake.
So fake.
Yes.
So phony. But do you think that's changing though? Do you think it's good?
Yes, I think that over the years that is beginning to change. We're now, the United States in itself is a melting pot, as we all know.
Yeah.
Everybody from every corner of the world is
Well,
in here,
yeah.
in this place. So there isn't, when you look at television, there isn't too much of that reflection. But then we're talking about the history of this country too, that is very, very peculiar.
Yeah.
So now there's been better inroads into not Hollywood, into TV programming. It's slow, but it's good to see that there is a better variety now.
There's an
I can look on
inclusion
the
now.
screen. Yes, I can look at maybe one or two programs and see myself
Yes. Yes.
on air. You understand?
Yes.
I see
Yeah.
someone like me, so
Yeah.
that is very positive for our own children.
Right. Right.
And the better the variety is reflected on air, that reflects the makeup and composition of this nation, the better for all of us, because then the variety, it even helps in cementing our relationships, interrelationships with one another. It helps with demystifying stereotypes about the Black race, about Africans, and so on and so forth. So it's a positive thing to bring us together more, to unite us even better, because we get to know each other better by reflecting the realities, on television.
Yes.
And
yes.
so programming here is improving. I can say that it's slow, but at least it's improving.
It is. It is. I would say that I see the change also, and I believe it's gonna get better. Because more
Yes,
and
it
more,
will.
yeah, more and more people are talking about inclusion. So
Exactly.
that is a wonderful thing.
It is. It's really wonderful. If you look at a channel like OWN, for instance,
Yes, owned by
there are
like
lots of
Oprah.
black shows. The operas, yes, there
Yeah.
are lots of black shows now there.
Yes.
And hopefully, as time goes on, with Tyler Perry and so on, they will also include Africans
Yes.
from
Yeah.
the motherland.
Yeah.
The shows, they'll be able to maybe come up with programs also that are targeted to our communities,
Right. Right.
Africans, and the
Yeah.
things that we do, and
Yeah.
our experiences, and so on and so forth, because that
Yeah.
is very much needed.
It is. It is. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is AMZ TV. This is your girl, Ameze. And I'm speaking to a living legend. What can I say? A queen. A queen. She is. The thing I love about you, you're so real. You're queenly. You're very regal, but you're real.
Oh,
So
thank you.
down
Oh, my
to earth.
goodness. You're making me
But it's
shy.
true. You're very queenly,
You're
but
making me
you're
shy, amazing.
but you're down to earth. So we've talked about, let me, quickly, which of your iconic, let's talk about your iconic roles. Is there any particular role that you've played that you think is closer to your heart, that is endearing to you? I mean, I can think of one.
Maybe in Behind the Clouds, at least I was myself in Behind the Clouds without all the horrific makeup and padding and everything. The funniest thing is that everybody loves Cockroach, and I never really liked that role.
Why?
Because it wasn't me, she was such a goody two-shoes.
It was goody two-shoes.
She was such a goody woman, the perfect wife and
mother,
Exactly. It's okay, but I really liked initially when Peter asked me what role I wanted. I wanted the role of
Lara.
Larry, exactly.
Larry.
Yes,
Larry.
and I must say, may her soul rest in peace, because she's passed on.
Yeah.
Let me just pause for a moment.
Okay.
Because she was such a good friend, and she passed on a few years ago. I miss you, Tola. I really do. May your soul rest in peace.
Amen. Amen.
And then I also chose the role of Ene, actually, in Cockroach Dawn, because she was Uncle Gaga's second wife, troublesome second wife. All those roles were given out. So I was stuck with Zamaye. I was stuck with Zamaye.
I know why. See, those when you play the mean, the villain, or not necessarily, but you know,
Yes.
they're fun to play.
I know they are fun. Thank you.
They are.
They are fun to play.
They are
Like
fun to play.
when I was still doing my first degree at Just Campus, and we did Merchant of Venice and Macbeth.
Oh.
I did, you know, I played the role of Portia in Merchant of Venice, but I played the role of a witch in
Yes.
Macbeth. One of
Oh
the
my
witches.
goodness.
So, oh
How
my
fun.
God. And that's the one that everybody remembered. They
Members.
clapped and so on and so forth for it. I remember Buhari at the time was the governor of Eastern State.
Okay.
And he came for our show.
Oh wow.
And then he invited us to the government house and gave us some money, which we were broke artists. He gave us 500, and on our way leaving, we ran, our bus ran into his Mercedes, and he came out. We thought he was going to jail us, but he said to us, he said to the driver, "You're carrying precious souls, so make sure you take care." You know, that was so touching. And and everybody loved that my role as the witch, you know, the way I executed the role, or the way I acted, the people clapped. I always had a standing ovation once I exited the stage. So things like that, you know, they're very exciting. Those sort of roles are really exciting. But I've been stuck now with roles like, you know, Zamaye.
Zamaye. Everyone loves Zamaye. Zamaye was the breakout star. There was Zamaye. There was Zamaye. My mom, oh my God. Everyone.
Men loved Zamaye. Men loved Zamaye. Everybody loves Zamaye.
It was like, that was the perfect wife.
Exactly. The perfect wife. So men were so wife. In love with, exactly, the perfect wife.
The wonderful mother.
Exactly.
You were perfect. You were perfect.
Being a good mother, I think, is very important. That I can appreciate. And that I try to be even to my son.
Right.
You know, and especially the way my mother was to us.
Yes.
You know, she was a really perfect mother. And if there's anything like, there's nothing like perfection in life, because we're not God, right?
Right.
But women like my mom were really great mothers. So they were great. She was a great role model to me.
Right.
Yes, when she was still alive, you know. So that was easy to play a good mother, and this mother who was always watching their kids and making sure they're doing the right thing. I do it even in my personal life, even with my brothers and sisters as the oldest person. But the perfect wife thing, and even in the role in Kokra done as Zamaye, Bello too was a pretty good husband.
He was.
But yes, if you really look at it, the union of a husband and wife is very supportive of one another. If he was an abusive husband, I don't think Zamaye would have been a good wife.
Sis, there's some women that take it to.
I know. We all know that. We all know that.
Yeah. There are some abusive men, and you wonder why those women are there, and they hold the family, you know. But
don't go there. I can never take an abusive man in my life. Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah, that's for another day. So,
been there, done that.
Been there, done that. I hear you. I hear you. So we're gonna, change this up, and I want to talk about back home in Nigeria. What is going on? I mean, there's just so many things. There's certain things that are coming out. We hear news from there,
Not only do you hear news, you see the videos.
Because this era,
it's absolutely heartbreaking.
It is. It is.
I can't believe that this is my country that is like this today. It's heartbreaking. I don't even think I have tears anymore because I've cried them all out.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I can't even watch the videos from Southern Kaduna, from Benue State, from Zamfara.
That is
crazy. From Maiduguri, from the Northeast, from all over that nation. I can't even watch the videos anymore. It's too heartbreaking for me.
It is. It is. I mean,
I
anyone
don't
that,
understand why on earth we can't own this. Why Boko Haram is abducting
okay, so
children.
what is your take on this? I want to hear you. What do you think is going on? How have we come to a people
To this
that
point,
have no regard for life? What happened?
there are so many theories out there, conspiracy theories, name it. It's difficult to decipher what exactly is happening. But the videos don't lie. The killings, the dismembering of pregnant women, children, all these things, those videos don't lie. They're so, I have no words because they're so excruciating to my soul.
Yeah.
And I must say that much as I loved Buhari and wanted, was so much routine for him to govern because of his period with Idi Agbon and, you know, what my views of him were.
I know.
I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest with you, because for somebody who with a military background, and this is happening today to your people, where are you? You're not, I mean, he's not even coming out to talk to his nation, to his people, to be able to lead and say, look, what are we doing? I remember I'm Catholic. I schooled in the North. I went to work in the North. During Salah, all my Muslim friends would kill the ram and bring us food. During Christmas,
I grew up in
we
Kano
would
too.
kill goats or whatever we're killing, but the only thing was that we will invite them to do the killing because they had a certain way of doing it, so we can share food with them. We didn't have all these problems growing up of Muslim, Christian, this, Christians being killed, this, that. Listen, I don't even know where to go with this. All I know is that my soul is so completely shattered by what is going on in Nigeria. Watching those, you know, little children, women, pregnant women being abducted, being raped, being maimed, being disemboweled. What? There is no security anywhere in Nigeria.